Hello and welcome back to the Leinster Listen. I'm your host Mick Lennon and this is episode 49, the review of Leinster vs Ospreys in the URC final normal round. This episode content will be the URC match results, the URC table and quarter-final details after this weekend, overall opinion of the game and the analysis of the game events. Alright folks, I know you're probably already sick to death of me doing these first and foremost things, but I cannot let this go past. Westmeath are Leinster champions, folks. I left the preview episode saying a quote from Paddy O'Shea saying a grain of rice will tip the scale, and let me tell you, that was absolutely true to that game that happened today. It was 90 minutes of intense football. It was just fantastic. The Westmeath women obviously as well are back-to-back intermediate Leinster champions. They showed their force against Wexford to retain the trophy in Newbridge. And then, of course, the Westmeath men have put away Dublin in an absolute thriller in Croker, honestly. It went to extra time, and then Westmeath actually did not let Dublin score a single point in the first half of extra time. And they did all this to bring home the Delaney Cup back to the Lake County. 22 years in the making since the first time we did it, the second time only. And I just have to say, just have to start this episode being so proud to be a man of maroon and white today. The men and women of Westmeath GAA are absolutely breaking the mould, and they're filling our hearts with pride. It's amazing. Anyway, look, back to Leinster and exactly what you've opened this episode for. Let's go through the match results there of round 18, the final round of the URC, the final normal round before the quarterfinals. So straight off there, we're going to start with Leinster 68, Ospreys 14, Cardiff 22, Stormers 16, Glasgow 26, Ulster 22, Connacht 26, Edinburgh 5, Sharks 54, Zebra 19, Bulls 45, Benetton 19, and last but not least, a draw between Scarlets and Dragons 35 apiece. So, how did that make the URC table at the very end, right before the quarterfinals? Well, as we all know, top 8 qualify, so that's all I'm going to go through, and we'll just talk about the ninth one as well, ever so slightly. So obviously first there and retained pole position has been Glasgow Warriors. Then it's Leinster in second, Stormers in third, Bulls in fourth, Munster in fifth, Cardiff in sixth, Lions in seventh, and Connacht in eighth. They have made the playoff cut, and unfortunately the ones who have not made the cut is Ulster there with 52 points after Munster secured their win over the Lions. I know it's a sad day when not all the provinces of Ireland make it into that final 8. We were very close there, having 3 of the 4. But look, Ulster will come back in force. Obviously, they're in the final of the Challenge Cup, and all the best to them. I know they're going to be missing a good few players there, so it'll be a bit of squeaky bum time for them. But I definitely hope they go the full way there and win that out. So anyway, without further ado, let's go into the quarter-final fixtures of the URC. So quarter-final 1 will be Glasgow, who are obviously top seeded there, versus Connacht, and that's going to be in Scottstown Stadium Friday 29th at 7:45. Quarter-final 2 then obviously is us. We're in second with Leinster versus Lions, so a repeat of last week's game, and that'll also be in the Aviva Stadium on Saturday the 30th of May at 8 p.m. Quarter-final 3 there is Stormers versus Cardiff. That is in the DHL Stadium in Cape Town, also on Saturday 30th of May, and that is at 2:30. And then the last quarterfinal is Bulls versus Munster, and that is in the Loftus Versfeld Stadium in South Africa as well, Saturday 30th of May, and that is at 12 p.m, so midday on the Saturday. So it's going to be an absolute crazy weekend in 2 weeks' time. And I'm buzzing for it. I am buzzing for it. Look, we probably got the best seed there in terms of if you look at what's going to happen with the semi-finals. So if you haven't looked up in the URC and how that's kind of built upon, so quarterfinal 1 winner will play the quarterfinal 4 winner, and then the quarterfinal 2 winner will play the quarterfinal 3 winner. So we're talking about the winners of Glasgow versus Connacht. They're going to be playing either Bulls or Munster, and then our one, Leinster or Lions, are going to play Stormers or Cardiff for those semi-finals. So look, what I would love to see here is a Leinster versus Cardiff final. That would be not Leinster versus Cardiff, Leinster versus Connacht final, mind you, or at least one of the provinces. Obviously Munster is an option there as well, but I would be absolutely delighted if we could get Leinster versus Connacht. It would be such a fantastic game to have in the URC final. So I'm crossing my fingers for that, because look, we all know Connacht fans in our families, especially me, who is Matthew, and he's a good commenter of all my videos. So it'd be great for me and him to go to that, and obviously rubbing in the face that we beat him in the URC final. But anyway, let's just go into the game at hand, and that is Leinster versus Ospreys. So my prediction there was 35-12 to Leinster. Thank God I'm not a betting man. I got it right in the sense of who won, but the actual score was 68-14 to Leinster. Like, absolutely crazy there. I think I got near almost half the score right for Leinster. But who could have expected Leinster to come out and absolutely slaughter Ospreys in that game? Overall opinion there, look, it was pretty much a glorified training run for us. A very, very big statement performance really going into the Champions Cup now. I don't think Bordeaux are going to look at that game and say, oh God, Leinster are putting it to them. Obviously Ospreys are having an absolute mare of a season. But look, big highlights there, big Joe McCarthy getting his hat-trick, him going off, Doris coming on having a great game as well. James Lowe there obviously scoring his 69th Leinster try to tie the all-time club record there at the moment as well, with absolutely fantastic for him. And then of course Jordan Larmour, who just ran ragged. Absolutely melting the Ospreys defence there. Played an absolute blinder of a game. But yeah, let's go into the actual details of the game there, I suppose. Yeah, we'll start off with the scrums, I suppose. Look, they were absolutely dominant. Dominant. Now, obviously, Ospreys, their front row pretty much got folded like a lawn chair there, essentially. But, in the early exchanges there, Jerry Carr was absolutely phenomenal. Slimani as well, in particular, very, very good. They had Garen Phillips under pressure the whole time from the get-go. So our scrums there were absolutely brilliant. Now, I will give it to Ospreys. They did claw back some bit there in the second quarter, but really the damage was done at that point. Like, we had a bonus point within 23 minutes, so it was absolutely crazy. Moving over there to the lineouts were a little bit mixed. Now I'll say mixed. They were very good, excellent in terms of outcomes for us, but I do think Gus McCarthy just had a little bit of a hard time with the throws. A few of them went over, completely overthrow there. Some of them worked in our favour. We caught them on the fly there as well, but we did give Ospreys back possession a few times with those overthrows. So a couple of technical wobbles there, but I think we can probably tidy it up. I'm not entirely sure Gus McCarthy will be starting for the match in Bilbao, but regardless, Leo Cullen will be looking at that. He'll be making sure that doesn't happen in that final as well. But look, again, the reason I say they're mixed there is the second try of the night came directly off a line-out drive. So, absolutely fantastic when it worked, and it really did work. So maybe just a couple of technical difficulties there in terms of the overthrows. Moving over there to the defence was excellent. Absolutely suffocating defence. It was brilliant. We held Ospreys obviously to 2 tries for the entire game, both of which came when the game was pretty much, or the match was already dead. They got a 30-minute kind of consolation try because we'd already a bonus point at that point, and then they got a 77-minute let them in to have a little try for themselves on the way out of the Aviva. But look, Ospreys obviously had a bit of possession there early on, but they couldn't find a way through because our defensive line was absolutely fantastic. And you know what the best thing about the defence there was? We were so fast up on that line. It was rapid. Every time there was a ruck on the Ospreys side and they lifted the ball, you could see our defensive line just moving up so quickly. And that's exactly what matters. That's exactly what we wanted to do against Bordeaux. We cannot give them an inch after those rucks. So if we keep that going, I think we're in the money, lads. Obviously, moving over there to the attack, electric. Absolutely electric. Particularly the first 25 minutes, obviously that was just crazy town. 28 unanswered points before Ospreys got on the board at all. We were doing these nice little kicks across field, grubber kicks going through the inside. This, and I've described it a few times before, this kind of loop play where we will delay a pass after the first pass after the ruck. You kind of delay that pass, kind of soak in the defenders, right? And then what they'll do is they'll have this, probably you call it a sweeper. I'm going to have to look up the actual term for it, but they'll have this sweeper play where they'll throw the ball way back, probably about 3 or 4 meters into a running player, who will then just go in a diagonal line up alongside the wingers and out again. That has worked time and time again. If you watch back that game, It probably was done about 6 or 7 times, 3 of which resulted in a try. So absolutely fantastic. The broken field play there was an absolute highlight as well. Larmour's interception was just phenomenal there, inside our own half. Perfect. It was also Jimmy O'Brien's crossfield kick as well to set up that fantastic creative try as well. So I think it had every bit of aspect of attack play there, which we really do want to see. We want to see dynamic play. We want to see it, not just be the crash through, get them over the line eventually kind of thing, or hope for a penalty and go for a line out. That game had pretty much everything. It actually gave me a feeling that it looked like the Bordeaux play. So if you'll ever look at how Bordeaux kind of attacked that structure, they're kind of kicking over the top, they're going grubber kicks through. Obviously, they're relying on their wingers an awful lot, but it works. So I think we're probably mirroring that to see how it worked for us. Obviously, it worked very well. But again, against Ospreys, who were just having an absolute mare of a time. So overall, the attack was very good. Very happy with it. It actually just clicked. It clicked so well. But you probably, as I said, you probably expect that when you're playing a team who just really haven't, gotten off the mark at all this season. Some notable players there. Obviously, if we start off with, Big Joe McCarthy, he had pretty much a 10 out of 10 performance there from the lock himself. Like a hat-trick, obviously, for himself, which was phenomenal. He carried so well as well. Like, he had runs. He had actually line breaks as well, which is crazy. He was beating defenders in pretty much hand-to-hand combat there the entire time. And he was doing kind of sidesteps that you would actually expect from a centre, but him being just the massive man himself, he's just very, very hard to take down. Obviously as well, he got player of the match, and that is without question, he definitely deserved it. Another man there we have to commend is Jordan Larmour. He's only literally back. I did say I thought he would come out to show what he's worth, because he wants that place in the final. He might even get it. I think he might get a bench position now, because if he plays like that in the final, we will. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but Jesus Christ, fantastic. 2 tries, he had 3 fantastic line breaks, he had 7 defenders beaten, 144 metres gained. Like, that's just phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And then also he had that kind of click there with Jimmy O'Brien, as I said before, that crossfield kick, which is just absolutely superb for Larmour to read that. And he actually did such a good job, because he flicked the ball up to gather it, caught it, and went in underneath the post. So look, fantastic by him as well. I think it's brilliant. Obviously, coming off that, you can't talk about Jimmy O'Brien's crossfield kick without talking about Jimmy O'Brien. He was just brilliant. He was brilliant from the get-go. He came out of the traps there like a hungry dog waiting to get around that track, and he did so. Obviously took the opening ball with authority there as well. He scored himself in the 22nd minute. Lovely give and go there with Gibson Park, and he could have offered it back to him as well, but it was fantastic. And then obviously that crossfield kick, I keep talking about it, but it was just beautiful. If you haven't seen the clip, I might actually share it on my Instagram. It was phenomenal. Again, that full back position just really does suit him. I know he does tend to get played in the winger position, but I think that full back position for him is just hitting the sweet spot. Obviously Hugo Keenan will probably be first choice there, but the fact that you can put Jimmy O'Brien on the bench there, he can play obviously full back or the wing, or really he could play inside centre. He's that strong as well, so he's such a dynamic player. I'm excited to see if he's on that team for the Bilbao match. And then last but not least, I have to say James Lowe, my God, obviously gotten that 69th try for Leinster. He's tied Dennis Hickey's all-time club record there. Fairy tale. If he got on the bench and he came on to score his 70th, which would actually break the record in that final, wouldn't that just be? That'd be a match made in heaven for him. Like, it'd just be fantastic. I will say though, he, from what I've seen anyway online, his contract has not been renewed. So I'm wondering now what's going on there. Has he just not signed it yet? Is he looking to move? I highly doubt it. Well, I hope not. I actually think he's a player you cannot let go. Obviously, people are saying he's just not as fast in the wing. Speed isn't everything on the wing. You can see him. He is so strong going into tackles. He's so dynamic with the ball. He does very dominant carries. He has a kind of finesse for those passes. Holding on, bringing those defenders in, hold on to the ball and offloading it very well. So I think he's a fantastic player. again, he'd have a very good game against Ospreys, so I'm hoping he will be on that team as well. But again, there is only 23 positions, and not all of them are going to be the back line there as well. So we'll see how that fares out. The referee there was Rue Campbell, Scottish referee. Yeah, no major controversy. I don't think... Okay, they had a TMO check there, which is rightly so, to check those early tries. I think one from Deegan, who literally just came on 30 seconds prior for a HIA off of Mangan and scored a try for himself. But again, Campbell got the call right on field. He just had to get the TMO to check it. And other than that, it was pretty quiet. Very quiet evening from the officials. So that's kind of what you want in a game. But I suppose, in fairness, there wasn't much use of them, considering how we scored most of our tries. They were just fantastic, and they were clear as day tries in the most part. But in a line, look, we didn't just win that last game, we absolutely dominated. It was akin to the Bath results there that you've seen. Or Northampton Saints, obviously, in Bath. It was just an absolute onslaught. And hopefully Bordeaux get the memo here that, we are the defending URC champions. We're coming to Bilbao. We're in form. We have peaked at the exact right time. We're confident, and we have absolutely nothing to fear, and we've nothing to lose. So if we go out there and go and play like that in Bilbao, I will be elated. Alright folks, going into the match events very quick. Obviously there's an awful lot of tries here, but there's no harm in listening to them again. So 3rd minute, straight out of the traps, try for Leinster. Big Joe McCarthy, and his first one there, he just barged in underneath the posts from close range, 3 minutes in. That was successfully converted by Harry Byrne, brought the score to 7-0. 6th minute then, didn't have to wait too long. Leinster, Max Deegan literally just came in, temporary replacement for Mangan's HIA. Got one himself from a line-out drive. Timo checked it, but perfect. Also converted by Harry Byrne there as well, brought the score 14-0. 19th minute then, try for Leinster, Josh van der Veer. Excellent combination play between him and Conan, who just picked the overlap so nice. It was fantastic. The pace was so strong in there. He just set off like a greyhound. A lot of greyhound analogies here. Anyway, but he set off like a greyhound. There was no stopping him. That was also successfully converted by Harry Byrne. Brought the score 21-0. 22nd minute then, try for Leinster, Jimmy O'Brien. Give and go there from Jemison Gibson Park as well, and just ran clear for the bonus point try in the 22nd minute. That was also successfully converted by Harry Byrne. Brought score 28-0. Obviously, the 30th minute came, the first try for Ospreys, and by none other than Hugh Sutton. Crashed over there from a Rhys Davies offload. Fantastic with him. And Keelan Giles obviously looped that build up, I suppose, into it and did the damage. And that was successfully converted by Dad Edwards. Brought score Leinster 28, Ospreys 7. That was also the halftime score, 28-7. Straight away after the halftime, 43rd minute, so 3 minutes in of both halves, actually, mind you, try for Leinster, and Gary Ringrose got this one for himself. Worked up in the right flank right after the restart. Gus McCarthy popped the ball up to him and straight in, boom. That was converted by Kieran Frawley, because we actually swapped out pretty much the entire team at that point. So Harry Burns went off to relax there for the rest of the game, and Kieran Frawley stepped in and did so very well. Converted that one, score 35-7. 52nd minute then, another try for Leinster, Jordan Larmer. This is obviously his first one. Expertly juggled there from a delicate kick in behind the Ospreys defence. Fantastic, very composed, very good finish, and a huge return from his injury. That was also successfully converted by Kieran Frawley, brought the score 42-7. 54th minute then, another try for Leinster, and Big Joe McCarthy's second one. He actually beat 3 defenders himself here on the wing and carried it like an absolute like a speeding train, like a cold train. There was no stopping him at all. That was also successfully converted by Kieran Frawley, brought the score 49-7. 57th minute then, a try for Leinster, Jordan Larmer, and then the second one, and this is the one where he intercepted a very, very slow Ospreys pass deep inside our own half, and he just sprinted away. Absolutely no one to stop him there, and it was just fantastic. So that brought the score to also converted by Kieran Frawley, brought the score to 56-7. 61st minute then, another try for Leinster. Just getting very tired of saying another try for Leinster. No, that's a lie. I love it. And this one is actually Big Joe McCarthy's hat-trick. He actually sidestepped like some little winger there to get around, and completed his treble, and somehow found space there as well, which was fantastic. I was also successfully converted by Kieran Frawley, brought the score 63-7. And if you notice there, we were actually beating the clock, and I saw a comment I read there was actually defined it perfectly. We were actually we weren't playing Ospreys at that point. We were actually playing Clock RFC, because at that point we were actually ahead of the clock in terms of minutes, in terms of score. So it was a terrible time to be an Ospreys fan, mind you. 63rd minute, obviously again, try for Leinster, and this was none other by James Lowe, and he caught the ball in a kind of spinning pirouette from the pass, and he flew up on the left corner and got tackled by 2 men at the end, but just crawled over the line for his 69th try there, and tying obviously again, as I said, Dennis Hickey's all-time club try scoring record. That was also successfully converted by Kieran Frawley, brought to score 68-7. 77th minute then, try for Ospreys, one for the road home. Dan Edwards there, kind of a consolation try really. Pretty much in garbage time, I suppose, at that point. And that was also successfully converted by Dan Edwards, brought the score and final score 68-14. Man of the match there was Big Joe McCarthy, and it made sense because he played like a winger, he ran like a centre, and he just was so aggressive, and he got the hat-trick. So fantastic. He's obviously going to be on the team against Bordeaux, so if he plays that, and I hope he does, we are in the money, lads. Okay folks, as I said, the next game is Leinster versus Bordeaux in the final of the Investec Champions Cup, Saturday 23rd of May, and kick-off there is at 2:45 Irish time. It is in Stade San Mamés in Bilbao in Spain, and my nerves are shot. I can't wait for it, but my nerves are shot. Look, I'm also going to take the Westmeath Leinster win as a sign that Leinster are going to go and win the Champions Cup. I think it's this year. It's this year, the 2026. I'm going to look back when I'm 80, and I'll be saying to everyone in the nursing homes, like, oh, do you remember that year, 2026, when we won everything? And they're going to say, yeah, okay, shut up, Michael, enough about that, and take your meds and go to sleep. But I'm living for it. I can feel it in my bones, lads. It is like it's like a pulsing sensation. I can feel it. It's coming. Either that or I need to book a GP appointment. I don't know. But it's just, this is our year. If we can do it, if we can do the double, Jesus, imagine doing the double. You were defending URC, so URC 2 in a row, and the Champions Cup. Oh, lads, I'm getting my hopes up. You should be getting your hopes up too, so I can't be the only one doing this. Alright folks, last but certainly not least, a huge cohorticus to the Irish women's team for their 3-for-3 win at home. They absolutely trounced Scotland, bet them off the field there today. It was actually over at half time essentially, but a massive day for Irish women's rugby. A hugely successful Women's Six Nations season this year. Obviously one to build upon because we only lost against France and England, and technically, if you look at if you watch the French game, we were robbed of like 3 tries that should have been. But anyway, alas, we won't go into that. Obviously, we're looking onwards and upwards, and we'll do even better next year, no doubt. And I can't wait for it. So the women are up and up. It's fantastic. Obviously, record breaking their attendance as well. I think it was around 31,500 people there as well. So a fantastic thing to see. And I heard, because I wasn't at it, that the atmosphere was absolutely savage. So fair play to them. A big cohorticus again. Bula Bus all around. And let's hope for next year as well. And obviously we'll be looking into around August. Actually, I think it's around July, August. We'll be looking at the interprovincial women's there as well. So we'll be covering those Leinster games as well when they come around. But anyway, folks, that is her. So if you haven't already, please do follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, Reddit, and Blue Sky. We're also on Threads as well. I think I've failed to mention that a good few times. But look, it's Champions Cup final week. Can't wait. Let's get supporting the lads. But as always, thanks for listening.